But you've got to make sure everyone's cared for. Some of them you take home with you. They're just so loving. We're in this world to serve, aren't we? So I guess we must just be people who need to feel needed. But you've got to be easygoing in this job.
This is another element, if you like, of raising awareness of the fact that something like 800,000 people in the UK are classified as having dementia. And so if we can do anything to raise awareness of this and to improve the care and the understanding of people with dementia, then that has to be a very good thing.
I'm Justine Schneider, I'm Professor of Mental Health and Social Care, and I was responsible for the research that led to the theatre project. That was based on the field notes of 3 researchers who were employed to go into healthcare wards in NHS hospitals treating people with quite severe dementia. In their free time, they kept copious notes, and at the end of the project, after we'd completed our report for the Department of Health, we still had about 600,000 words worth of field notes, and it was those field notes that we handed to a playwright.
I was handed this ethnographic research, which was beautiful. It was poetic at source, and commissioned to write a play. And I was given no agenda, no rules. I was given complete freedom.
We got involved when Justine Schneider came and talked to me about the piece of research she had done in the Mental Health Trust and talked about a very different learning opportunity for healthcare assistants. And part was feeding back the research from the Mental Health Trust and what they had found, but also to use it as an educational tool for our healthcare assistants. And the play really does that because it enables our healthcare assistants to look at aspects of very good care and aspects of where we can improve care. And the workshops following the play allow them to explore how the play's made them feel.
I didn't know what an HCA was before I came to do this play. And, you know, they do so much. They do so much. And I'm learning as we're doing these workshops. I've got the pleasure of meeting lots of HCAs. And their stories are just, they've blown my mind, completely blown my mind. And I think they're changing our performances. I think as a company, as we're meeting the people who we're doing it for, that have basically written our scripts, we're changing and we're evolving.
The first performance, you couldn't hear a pin drop. Now, I think it's a funny play. So I thought they're not going to come back at the interval. But they came back after the interval with such an incredible energy. That's when I knew, on that very first performance, that's when I knew we'd won. We'd touched the hearts.
The play was fantastic. The play was absolutely brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The actors had it spot on, absolutely spot on. The emotions were surprising. I laughed and I cried. The actors that were playing the healthcare assistants in particular showed the emotion of the job so well. It was unreal. We get angry, we get sad, we care about our patients. It's difficult to deal with, but you do. And the actors were fantastic.
I think a lot of the characters have moments where they will go back to something particularly traumatic in life. Mr. P is remembering the French Resistance. Muriel is reminded of her ballet. Keith brings her on. Keith, the HCA, is particularly upset when one of the characters dies in the play, and he puts on Swan Lake and he blasts it out through the ward, and he wheels Muriel in and he sort of dances with her in her chair, and he spins around, and that's just it was just the best fun. And for Muriel to go back to a wonderful moment, I think was really important because a lot of the time, they're stripped of all the good memories.
The workshops were great because we were learning about how other people within the job perceive dementia, and it was just nice to be able to talk and to share those things, and it's just something that you don't get a chance to do in your day-to-day, so I did feel very privileged to do that.
At first I thought, no workshops, but I found them quite good, found it quite interesting, and they asked for a volunteer at the second half, so I put myself forward, which is quite good. So I acted as a person with dementia, and people were trying to find information from me to find out about me. So that was really interesting, really good.
I've had so many people coming up to me saying, I have never been to the theatre before. And if it's like this, I'm going again. So as a theatre maker, I mean, it's just fantastic.
Honestly, I think that this is without a doubt one of the best educational plays I've ever seen. I do this every day, and it taught me about my job, which was really quite an exciting experience. I think that people who care for people with dementia should see it. I think journalists should see it. I think some politicians could do with seeing it as well.
The figures that were brought up in the play about the future, about how many of us are going to end up with it in a few years' time and how old we're living to, that's something that hit me, that's something that scares me. That's something that, you know, people do need to know more about dementia and how to cope with it and how to look after people and how to look after the people who are looking after the dementia patients, because it's so hard.
My dream is that we carry on reaching the people that the play is written for, but to open the show to a much wider audience, because it's about that wider society being aware of what these people do and all the issues that it raises for the rest of us.
It would just be marvellous for this to have a legacy from its initial production here in Nottingham, but to go on and to be useful in other cities too. So that's very much our hope for the future.
I really hope that they get the funding to push this out further, because it's fantastic.